Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the Sports Insight with your host Alamdar Khan. And yes, as you know, we give you information about sports from all across the globe. You guys can surely reach out to us on our social media handle, which is @Indus News Sports. That basically works both for Twitter and for Instagram. But anyways, we'll go to the headlines first. And yes, from the world of cricket, Pakistan versus Zimbabwe, the second test, Pakistan managed to win against them by an innings and 147 runs. And yes, from the world of golf, yes, Rory McIlroy wins the Wells Fargo Championship for the third time. And yes, from the world of tennis, Sabalenka managed to beat Ashley Barty to win Women's Madrid Open title. And yes, from the world of football, Manchester United managed to win against Aston Villa 3-1 on Sunday. And yes, those were the headlines. And not to forget that, we started off with the world of cricket, and Pakistan versus Zimbabwe. The second test has finally concluded. Pakistan managed to win that second test against Zimbabwe by an innings and 147 runs. Pakistan also elected to bat and posted a massive 510 for 8 declared. It has been an interesting journey for our bowlers as well. Hassan Ali actually managed to score, get 5 wickets for 27. Our seamer actually got, Shaheen Shafiri got 452. And we also managed to have an amazing performance by Abid Ali in the batting side, which was 205, which was definitely brilliant. But anyways, to discuss more in-depth analysis, we have with us Ryan Byrne, who is obviously in the Zimbabwe cricket team, with us right now. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great. So Ryan, we'll start off with the first things first. Pakistan managing to win that test against Zimbabwe by an innings and 147 runs. And obviously it has been an interesting journey for Pakistan to Zimbabwe. We surely had some interesting electrifying matches back in the T20s. But what's your overall take on the test side? Because I think it has been a very positive side for Pakistan, but yes, a major upset for the Zimbabwe cricket team.
Yeah, I think obviously first and foremost, congratulations to Pakistan on getting the win. I think the key thing was obviously them coming over from South Africa with a lot of confidence and a lot of form. So, them getting 510 in the first innings obviously blew our Zimbabwe side away. All credit, congratulations to Abid on a double century, and Azhar obviously putting in a great knock. And then obviously Nouman Ali getting 97, batting down at number 9. So, when a tailender gets that many runs as well, it's kind of kicking Zimbabwe whilst they're down. So yeah, credit to the Pakistan batsmen on scoring a very big first innings total.
Right, but there were some major injuries in the team as well, which obviously I was discussing with you earlier as well. So how many players are injured right now? Because that also impacts the overall morale of the players. So how do you see that impacting the performance of Zimbabwean cricket team?
Oh, massively, to be honest. I think we've got 5 or 6 of our starting 11 guys injured. Obviously Craig Irvin, Sikandar Raza still recovering from his operation, Sean Williams, Wesley Madevere, myself, right, and Tendai Chatara. So, obviously Zimbabwe, a smaller team than Pakistan, we don't quite have the depth that Pakistan have. Right. So, losing 5, 6 starting players is always going to put us on the back foot from the get-go. Maybe when we have 1 or 2, it's fine. You can put guys in, but, in a test series of this caliber, you always want your strongest 11 on the park. And right, having to put in, a few youngsters that probably might not have been ready sort of thing, it's a bit tough for them because, they're not really able to start off their test careers with the experienced players around them and helping them. So it's a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. It's a curveball that was thrown our way.
Right. And to be very honest, you're absolutely right, because if we remember, Pakistan was touring South Africa, and during that time, a few players, 4 or 5 players actually had to leave for IPL from the South African cricket team, which obviously impacted the team and obviously the morale massively. And yes, Pakistan managed to win against them, and we managed to win like 2 straight games after that. So it does impact the morale of the. So, but it's also a learning side for the team as well, if I see it that way.
Yeah, 100%. It's also a good opportunity for the players that are, you know, on the fringe, or, you know, some of the domestic players that have been performing well, to actually get an opportunity. And, you know, it's it's a bit harsh, but, you know, you kind of throw them into the deep end, and you either sink or you swim. And, you know, so it's a good opportunity to find out a few things and to experiment a little as well.
Right. So besides all that, I would surely want to know, we'll surely want to switch over to the T20 side as well. I want to discuss that, because that was one of the most interesting things, because now the series has been concluded. So I would surely want to look into that side. So if we talk about the first T20 to begin with, it was an interesting match, but to be honest, very difficult for Pakistan to, you know, understand the pitch, because we were coming in from South Africa and managing, you know. So how did you see the first match? And obviously then we'll talk about the second, which obviously Zimbabwe managed to make an interesting comeback against Pakistan.
Yes, I think, you know, it's obviously a bit bittersweet for us to restrict Pakistan to 140 in the first T20 and then not chase it down. You know, falling short by, I think it was 10 or 11 runs. You know, we were obviously, you know, kicking ourselves after that. And we had good, hard conversations with ourselves. You know, I think we dropped 4 or 5 catches that were very important. So then for us, you know, to obviously, you know, pull up our socks in the second T20 and get the win, that was very good turnaround from the boys. So very happy for that.
Right, and if we literally look into the situation when it comes to even when it was the first T20 match, I still remember when we were watching it, there was an absolute point in the last 4 or 5 overs, and we thought that, you know, Pakistan is not going to win, but, you know, managed to, because it was a very close call match. But I think Zimbabwe managed to learn from that, learn from their ups and downs in that first match, and that then imply all the learning into the second. And in the second, it was a major upset for Pakistan.
Yeah, I think, you know, Luke Jongwe obviously batted quite well at the end of the Zimbabwe innings, and, you know, we tried to put ourselves in a position to win, but I think just losing, I think we were about four wickets down in the first power play. So when you're chasing a low total, or any total for that matter, you don't really want to be 4 wickets down. So, you know, we obviously put up a competitive fight and just came short, but yeah.
But in the second T20, of course, you managed to break Pakistan's situation, and, you know, not even let us make a century. It was the same team that actually was in South Africa and managed to score. The same team managed to score 200 plus. So how did you guys feel over that victory against Pakistan?
Yeah, I think it's a massive, you know, moral victory as well for Zimbabwe. You know, we've been putting in a lot of work in our white ball format and just trying to, you know, change the way we're approaching our innings and the way we want to actually play, you know, our method of cricket. So, you know, I'm very happy for the guys to have, you know, bowled out Pakistan for only 99. You know, that's not going to happen, you know, too often in my lifetime. So very happy for that. You know, credit to our bowlers. You know, I think Luke Jongwe, I think he got a 4 for a 5 for, so well done to him. And yeah, I think the Pakistan players just really struggled to adjust to the slowness of the wicket, and just, you know, wicket falling around in regular intervals didn't help them in their boat of chasing down the total. Right.
Pakistan mostly have noticed that have issues with the fields that are faster, to be honest, faster in terms of short ball. Short ball has always been one of our weaknesses. But yes, it was a super slow pitch for them, and I think they just could not collect themselves equally on that. And talking about the third test, of course, it was also in third T20, it was also very interesting because, you know, we wanted to conclude the whole session. There was a lot of pressure on the Pakistan side as well, but I'm sure equally pressure on the Zimbabwean side. So how was the situation when it came to the third T20?
So obviously, I think Pakistan setting a total of, I think it was 150 odd. It was, you know, a modest total. It wasn't anything that was too high, or, you know, it wasn't below par. I think it was just a par score for that wicket. You know, Zimbabwe started off very well with the bat, but there was a time when we kind of needed to kick on. I think we had Wesley Madevere and we had Marumani at the time. And, you know, they're obviously very young, very new to the international scene. So for them, we kind of needed one of them to just kick on and bat through, you know, to the 15th, 16th over. But unfortunately, they both went out in quick succession. And then, you know, leaving a bit of runs left on the board for, you know, our middle order to try and chase down. And they weren't quite ready, you know, on a slow wicket, it's very difficult, which we actually saw throughout the whole series. It was very difficult for batters to come in and score from ball one on a slow wicket, which, you know, ultimately, you know, with Pakistan's death was just too strong for our batters at the time. So unfortunately falling out on the losing end of that battle.
Right. So in terms of bowlers, of course, you've faced Pakistani bowlers as well. And obviously, if you look into the current test situation, I think Shaheen Shafidi has done a phenomenal job, and Haris Ali has actually managed to take it to another level. So in terms of facing the bowlers, who are the bowlers that you still think that, you know, in terms of facing them would be technically difficult?
I mean, obviously, Shaheen Afridi, he's you know, he's a very special find. He's a special talent. You know, Pakistan's very, very lucky to have him. He's, you know, very tall. He's bowling fast. I think the thing that impressed me most about him, you know, he's obviously very good with the ball early on, but more so the fact that when it's coming to, you know, the 18th, 19th, 20th over, the death, he's absolutely brilliant at nailing his Yorkers. And even as you've seen, I think if you watched in this last test that's just been good, you know, he's bowling those quick Yorkers efficiently and effectively during a test match, you know, so it's a bit of a surprise factor.
Right.
So yeah, all credit to Shaheen. He's a world-class bowler, and, you know, he's going to have a very bright future.
Right, right. Well, thank you so very much, Ryan, for being a part of the show and discussing the Pakistan versus Zimbabwe series once again. And thank you for hosting us in your country.
No, awesome. Thank you so much to everyone in Pakistan. I really appreciate it. And
pleasure.
It's good to have cricket going.
Yes. Anyway, so it was Ryan Burl, and yes, we were discussing the world of cricket, and yes, we discussed Pakistan's final victory against Zimbabwe, 2-0. Not to forget that the T20 situation was tough, but we still managed to win that 2-1 as well. But many congratulations for Zimbabwe for hosting such a tournament during these hard times of coronavirus situation. But anyways, what we'll do is we'll take a quick break, and once we're back from the break, there is more from the world of sports. Till then, see you guys after the break. And yes, welcome back from the break. And yes, before the break, we were discussing Pakistan versus Zimbabwe, the cricket side, but not to forget that we always give you information about the rest of the sports. So we'll be talking about golf. Yes, we'll talk about Wells Fargo Championship, which actually Rory McIlroy actually managed to win it for the third time. But not to forget that there was a big drama on the golf course on the last hole. And I think everybody's currently talking about it. And I think it would be interesting to discuss that. But to discuss all the in-depth analysis about the world of golf, we have with us Zain Tahir, who is a national golfer for Pakistan. Zain, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alamdar, for having me always.
Great. So Zain, we'll talk about the victory. Firstly, congratulations to McIlroy for winning it. But there was a big drama, and I would surely want you to add in an in-depth analysis of what truly happened at the golf course.
The roars are back. That's the one bottom line that's going on around the PGA Tour and the world of golf. You know, Rory McIlroy has been the prodigy that has been compared with Tiger Woods, and very rightly so it has been done. We must mention here that he's one guy who has won 4 majors before the age of 25. And the only other 2 guys to have done that are Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods, who are the biggest 2 names in the history of the game. Right. So Rory is that kind of a kid. But it has always been difficult to, you know, prognosticate his upcoming times, to predict or to foretell what he's going to do. Because he's been right up there, but like his last 5 matches where he missed the cut in 3 of them, no one can predict what he's going to do, but they all know that he has that great kid inside him. So coming to the Wells Fargo, Rory McIlroy won, and like the short name that they use for him, roars. The crowd is roaring. The crowd is back after the COVID anomalies, and so is Rory McIlroy. And yes, it happened with a lot of drama. Because Rory finished he was ranked in the match. He was 120th after day 1, and that's very low. He played a 1 over par on Thursday, and it seemed like Rory is again continuing with the bad form that he has been in, but then the true legend came back, and he played 66, 68, and 68 in the last 3 rounds to finish not just high up on the leaderboard, but to literally win the match.
Right.
So that composed game that he was going through in the last 3 days, on the 18th hole, on the last hole, all he needed to do was a simple fade with the 3-wood of the driver in the middle of the fairway. Rather, he ended up hitting a hook 3-wood into the water hazard. And trust me, that was the last thing he needed, and that was the only thing you were not supposed to do. Right. So Rory hit that. He had a 2-shot lead, and everybody was expecting that things are going to go wrong from here. Right. His caddy very rightly informed him to take a drop. He took that drop. He hit a shot on the middle of the green from an 8-iron from about 170 yards. It's a tough shot to do, and he ended up doing a bogey. Had he just taken one more shot, the match would have gone in a playoff. So it was a tense finish, but it was a tense start as well. But at the end, a very good finish for Wells Fargo, for Rory McIlroy, and for the world of golf. And as they all say, the roars are back, and so is the crowd.
Right. An interesting thing that you just mentioned, that, you know, when the ball, he had to drop one of it. So the point is, let's talk about the impact of having a caddy. Obviously, people generally in Pakistan or overall in terms of golf, how impactful is, or how much knowledge of your caddy does inspire, you know, the player who's actually playing it? I'm just surprised to hear that, so I thought I'll put it up to you.
Yeah, that's very interesting way of thinking, actually. It's always like that with you, Alamdar. Very, very good questions and insights that you come up with. Caddy definitely has an impact. In fact, just to mention over here for our viewers that they all know that for the top players in the world, caddies are consistent. It's not like anybody, some guy just picking up your bag. Caddies are there 24/7 with you in all of your training. They know your shots, they know your distances. In fact, it's their caddies who are telling them and who are gauging the distances a day before the tournament or 2 days before the tournament, and they know 18 holes every point's distance from the flag. You know, there are 4 different pin positions all the 4 days. Pin is the flag basically on the green, and they are changing all 4 days for 18 holes. So the crowd and Sir Nick Faldo and many of the big guys, they gave a lot of credit to Rory's caddy. I can't come up with his name right now. I remember it. He's a good friend of Rory McIlroy. And once he hit the ball, once he hit a hook in the water hazard on the last hole, he was planning to play it from the hazard. As per the new rules of golf, you can play the ball from the hazard, and you can put your club down on the hazard. But his caddy told him to take a drop instead, you know. So it was his caddy's advice. Yes, caddies have a huge impact on a player's game.
For instance, if he had not taken that decision from the caddy and maybe gone for it, so it would definitely be a big loss for McIlroy.
It could have gone anywhere. I mean, had he played that shot correctly, maybe he would have gone closer to the green. With his 3rd shot, he could have gone even closer to the pin and do a par. Instead, he did a bogey and took his caddy's advice because his ball was not lying in a very good position. It was in the rough inside the water hazard, and you cannot predict what's underneath the ball. It's a rough area. It's not the fairway. So that's where the caddies come in, and that's where the synergy of a caddy and a player comes in, you know. And I think they took a good decision at the end of the day.
Great. So one more, I still want to know, Zan, how many amongst the top 10 players of the world were actually in this tournament? Because it seems like a very interesting one, and, you know, I'd surely want to know if there were anyone from the top 10.
Well, Alamdar, like we always discuss, you know, PGA Tour is the limelight, is the main focus of the world of golf. So every match is big. But Wells Fargo is considered one of the big matches. Every match has its own reason to be considered as big, like we have discussed before, the Players, the Arnold Palmer Invitational. But Wells Fargo is considered, which is held in Quail Hollow since 2003. It's considered as a big match because, coming to your question, top 10 of the world's top 15 players were participating in this match. And more after that, it's considered big because after the Augusta, which was held a couple of weeks back, and the upcoming major championship, which is the PGA Championship, this match had the biggest participation of the top 10 guys, out of the top 15 guys. So yes, it had an impact on the world of golf, and it drew attention towards it. It is a big match, and Rory managed to shine out in this one, so it's quite interesting.
So December was also in this tournament. What was his current scenario in terms of, you know, playing? Because I still remember that Abraham Acer actually managed to come. He was on the 2nd. He was pretty much close to the idea of getting that. unless this bogey came in. And luckily, he still managed to stay back and McIlroy won. What was DeChambeau's situation in this entire tournament?
Well, DeChambeau, again, something very interesting happened to DeChambeau, that what happens is that on Thursday and Friday, the players try to make the cut. Right. And that means that only 60 or top 70 players play on Saturday and Sunday, and they all get paid. And that's how the rankings are made. Right. Like we have been discussing the FedEx Cup rankings. Right. So when a player generally doesn't bring that good score on a Thursday and a Friday, they leave. They leave the state and they go back to their hometowns. The DeChambeau is from Dallas, and he went back to Dallas. He played on Friday. Right. The Friday round had not finished yet, and he just thought that I'm going to miss the cut. And he flew back to Dallas. He was working out over there, and he said, I went to a workout, and I was going home, and then I realized that the players behind him who were actually playing their round in the evening in Wells Fargo, they started bringing bad scores. And suddenly, DeChambeau, who was thinking who has missed the cut, he actually made the cut. And he was in for Saturday and Sunday, and he immediately flew back from Dallas to this North Carolina course. Right. And amazingly, he played 68-68 in last two rounds, and he finished, I think, he finished tied 9th. So that's quite an interesting story from DeChambeau this week.
Right. So talking about this whole situation, what is the current scenario with regards to the upcoming PGA Championship? Obviously, it would be, for instance, if we talk about Rory, I'm sure he would be more confident being a part of it. So how do you see that, the upcoming one? Because that is definitely one of the big tournaments coming up.
Yes, something very important to mention is that amongst the 4 majors that the world of golf has, one that has held less 3 weeks ago, the Masters. Right. The second major of the year is coming up, and it's the PGA Championship, and it's planned at Cuyahoga Ocean Resort, and this is in South Carolina, and the whole world of golf, from the Asian Tour, from the European Tour, and from other smaller tours in the world, and especially the PGA Tour, they're all gonna be participating in that. So immediately it's the biggest match because it's the major. Like we know from the world of tennis or from other sports, majors are the center of attention of every sport. So it's the second major of the year, and the immediate hot favorite is Rory McIlroy because of his win over here. Right. And again, something very critical is to note here is that Rory McIlroy has previously won on the course where the PGA Championship is being held after 2 weeks from now. Right. So he's the immediate hot favorite, and let's see. I mean, like I always mention, golf is not about the top guys winning always, like in tennis. Right. It's about the top guys staying right up there and winning the maximum in the year. So I don't predict that Rory is going to win, but for sure he's the hot favorite.
Right. Let's hope for the best for him. Thank you so much, Zan, for being a part of the show and discussing the world of golf with us.
It's always a pleasure, Alvin. Thank you.
So talking about, obviously, the tree of Rory, he surely would be on, as he mentioned, that, he's pretty much the hot favorite for now. And yes, the course that's actually having it's in South Carolina. And Rory has actually won one of the tournaments up there. So I think he surely does have an edge. Let's hope for the best for him. And obviously, it would be very interesting to see. I think it's about 2 weeks from now. So once that comes up, we'll surely share that with you. Anyways, coming up to major upset. Yes, we're talking about the world of tennis. Let's talk about the major upset that happened. So what happened was Ashley Barty, who was the world #1, actually managed to lose against Sabalenka. And not to forget that this was 6-0, 3-6 and 6-4. And not to forget, Sabalenka was not very well, and she was initially planning on withdrawing from the Madrid tournament. Yes, and the Madrid Open is definitely a clay one, and it's definitely faster. But Sabalenka was basically asked by her team members not to go because they already knew that she could make it, and that's how she did it. She's currently world #7, but beating world #7 beating world #1 is surely upsetting. But anyways, congratulations to Sabalenka for that amazing victory. So this was from the world of tennis. I'll quickly jump over to the world of football. Yes, Aston Villa versus Manchester United. Aston Villa started the game, scored the goal at the very start on the 24th minute. Yes, and it's always very difficult for a football team to come back, to make a comeback. But we're talking about Manchester United here. I think they have been having a phenomenal season so far, and I think they're absolutely perfect. Not to forget, Fernandes actually managed to equalize the game from a penalty spot. But not only that, Cavani, who's actually been having and scoring some high-end goals, his header actually managed to ensure the victory for them. Eventually, the whole score was 3-1. So that made Manchester United win against Aston Villa. And not to forget that this is the 25 away games that they've won so far. So as per the reputation, I think Manchester United is surely on spot on. Anyways, guys, you all can surely reach out to us on our social media handle, which is @Indus News Sports. They're basically both for Twitter and for Instagram. Till then, take good care of yourself and bye-bye.